Welcome to the Coach V Show here on Island City, where the beach meets the streets, where we are going to be featuring this evening Brother Ben Tonga, who is a healthcare executive out of Alpine, Utah, that has a testimony that is super powerful. So grab your notebook, take some notes, or open up your notepad or your notebook on your cell phone and take down and jot down some notes. And remember, you can do, become, and achieve all it is that you want in life, leadership, and business. And if you level up, not only will you become more effective and efficient in the pursuit of your success, but now what it is that you pursue will now start pursuing, chasing, and attracted to you. Enjoy the show. Now, a word from our sponsor.
Whenever it's cold outside and you need a little heat, at the game or in a plane, it's comfortable on your feet. When it's time for a nap, it's a pillow for your sleep. Get your comfy blanket now. Get your comfy blanket now.
Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life. Offering from your consideration from some of my insights and definitely from the featured guests that we have, the success frameworks, behavioral models, and life lessons that should you find value in them, that you subscribe and deploy it all over your life, leadership, and business. Here on the Coach V Show, where iron sharpens iron, together we rise, powered by the Island City Media Group, where the beach meets the streets. Today, I am so excited for this take two. We recorded the show already, and because I messed up, we had to re-record it. So thank you to Brother Ben Tonga for his grace given, and that he would come back on and we would get this show done. And we're featuring Brother Ben Tonga, who is a healthcare strategist and executive with over 20 years of experience with health plans, pharmacy benefit managers, and healthcare IT organizations. Currently, he serves as the Director of Medicare Advantage for the University of Utah Health Plans. He leads the Medicare Advantage market, and previously, he had led the senior markets product team for Blue Cross and Blue Shields in Kansas City, Missouri. And Ben is passionate about quality healthcare being affordable, simple, and accessible for all, especially seniors and in our Polynesian community. Ben holds a Bachelor's of Science in Finance from University, Parkville, Missouri, and a Master's of Business Administration from Babson College Wellesley in Massachusetts. Ben and his wife, Lavon, have 4 children and live in the Alpine, Utah. Welcome to the show, your boy, Brother Ben Tonga. Ben, welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, thanks, Coach. Thanks for having me, and it's good to connect again.
Good to connect. And let's go Genesis point. Starting point, where are you from? Tell us the family history and the roots, brother, please.
Yeah, I would love to. So let's start from the beginning. So my folks, my mom and dad are both immigrants. They're both Tongan. My dad, Paul Tonga, he grew up in Fomotu on the main island near the airport in Tonga. My mom, Tupo Nayata is her maiden name. She is from Halafuli Vava'o. They immigrated to the States in the 60s, had a brief stint in San Francisco, and then they ventured all the way over to Kansas City, Missouri, of all places. They started out with 2 kids in the 60s, and then by the time it was all said and done, there were 7 of us. So me and 5 of my brothers and sisters, born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, middle of the heartland, Midwest. So that's home for me. That's a very influential part of my upbringing, along with our Tongan roots. So yeah, that's home right now. My wife and I, as you said, we are in Alpine with 4 kids, and we love it here. We've only been in Utah for 2 years. The University of Utah brought me here. I didn't think I'd ever leave Missouri, but here we are.
Oh, that is awesome. And shout out to my boy D Kini over there, who's at the University of Utah. But please introduce us to your parents And let's shout out the siblings too. Shout out the family, please. Who are they? Give us names.
Sure, absolutely. I'll just start. Shout out to mom and dad. So Paula and Tupo. My mom passed a few years ago. May she rest in peace. But my dad still going strong. He's 84 years old. Still lives in Kansas City with one of my sisters. So shout out to the family, oldest to youngest. My oldest sister, Tamasita Tevi, Euless, Texas. She's there with her family. My second sister, Nadine Tonga. She's in the Bay Area. She's over in Millbrae. My third sister, Linda Pope, Blue Springs, Missouri. My fourth sister, Rose Fonua. She's in Independence, Missouri. My youngest sister, Suliana Tonga. She's in Kansas City, Missouri. And my youngest brother, Paul Tonga Jr. He's between Texas and Southern California. So shout out to the fam.
Oh, I love that. And shout out to my boy, brother Peter Hobler, who's one of my clients and longtime friend that's out there in Kansas City, Missouri. And shout out to Euless. Man, shout out to the Trinity folks out there, Trinity High School. My boy Jake. Jake is out there doing his thing. His daughter's a phenomenal volleyball player. Shout out Millbrae, Sneath Lane out there, Millbrae, El Camino Rio, for those of you that are familiar with the Polynesian communities out there in EPA, Mateo, San Bruno, South City, San Francisco. Shout out to the Yay area, and then also to the Midwest, and also where you are right now in Utah. Let's talk Kansas City Chiefs real quick.
Yeah, I love it.
Man, they have blown on the scene. They had a phenomenal California high school player that went to the U, right? Who came over from the Niners.
Yep.
Remind me his name. Alex
Smith.
Alex Smith.
Yep.
Helix High School legend, California legend, played with Reggie Bush at Helix, went to the U, did a great job over there, drafted to the Niners, and then went over to Kansas City, and then they brought in this young cat from Texas Tech. And so they parted ways, and the rest is history. They're now a perennial power in the AFC. Talk about your Kansas City Chiefs and just how good it is to see those guys back in the mix, huh?
Oh, man, lifelong fan, right? Lifelong suffering Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Suffering.
So, it could be worse. I could be a Bengals fan, right? Or a Browns fan. Right? So, but love the Bengals, love the Browns too.
Yes,
so,
sir.
But here, growing up as a Chiefs fan, in the 80s, even up until the early 90s, it was a baseball town. Nobody cared about the Chiefs, right? Royals. So Marty Schottenheimer comes in like late 80s. He drafts Derek Thomas, drafts all those studs on the defense, and game on, right? It switches, it becomes a Chiefs town, 90s all the way up until now. And, during the 90s, we're like, oh, we're this close. We just need a halfway decent quarterback. And it never happened, right?
Right.
And then the 2000s come around, and then Dick Vermeil rolls into town. He brings Trent Green. I'm like, oh, we got the offense, but no defense, right?
Right.
And then Andy Reid rolls in, right? And he brings Alex Smith, which I'll tell you what, Alex Smith is loved in Kansas City.
Oh, I agree. I love him too. Yeah.
Yeah, he is a stand-up dude. Kansas City would love nothing better than for Alex Smith to be in the front office or somewhere on that coaching staff at some point.
Yeah.
He is a good dude, and people love him in Kansas City. And then, right, Patrick Mahomes shows up. Patrick Mahomes, unreal. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, even though he's moved on, then these throws that he makes, and it's just unreal. I remember the first time, I'll share this quick snippet. Preseason, the year he got drafted, Alex Smith, I was at 17. Alex Smith still played that full season. But I went to one of the preseason games, Alex Smith played a couple quarters, and then they throw in Mahomes. First time I saw Mahomes play. The dude was just throwing bombs. 60-yard passes for no reason, right? And then everybody's like, oh, okay. And then the Broncos game happens later that year where Alex Smith was hurt. And then that was it, right? Everybody knew this was the guy. And then as a Chiefs fan, you just say, you know what? I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to enjoy the ride because one of these days it's going to come to an end. And we just have to say, hey, we got a Super Bowl. We've been to 2. Hopefully we get a couple more in there, but just enjoy.
Yeah, yes, sir, man. And not only can this guy, I mean, he's so much to me being a Pomona guy growing up and being a Lakers fan. Right now, shout out to Bron and the Lakers, but you got to do better, Bron. You guys got to elevate. Come on. But I bring up the Lakers in basketball because of these no-look passes, these flicks, and these sidearm look, like he'll look this way and throw back that way. I mean, it's just, as a football fan, it's just a marvel to see. Like my son and I and my family and I, we're 49er fans, but we love good football, and Kansas City Chiefs is definitely something that's highly entertaining. And like you said, the value proposition for your time on return is you're going to see something that's a wow. And then in the last game is we're recording a week ahead of your show that's going to be aired. I mean, he ran 2 touchdowns in the last game, right? I mean, now, and he's got the funniest walk anyway. Come on, can you talk about my boy's gangster limp? But he is such a talent. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I think where it was most evident was when they played the 49ers. And I think everybody's like, oh, this guy can't run, right? And he's got an arm, but he can't move. And so Robert Saleh, the coach over there for the Giant or the Jets now, I think he underestimated how much Mahomes would scramble. And I think he admitted as much, a year or so later, but he can move. He don't let the gangster lean walk fool you. He can move.
Absolutely. And you know what? For all of the phenomenalisms that is a Patrick Mahomes, and you know what? Shout out to the Kansas City coaching staff too, and my boy Eric Bieniemy. I crossed roads with Eric Bieniemy during my college days. I mean, he is a New Orleans guy. That played at Colorado that's just got some amazing swag, and he's the offensive coordinator there. I don't think he gets enough credit is one thing I do want to say, but Andy Reid and EB and those guys are getting it. But all of the phenomenalism that is Patrick Mahomes, the guy is like a bare minimum runner, but when he runs, game over. I mean, because he has just enough, and he does it so casually too. It doesn't look like, Lamar. When Lamar gets going, it's dynamic, it's explosive, but it's really good to see that. Congratulations. And I really look forward to, because I'm an NFC guy, like defense wins championships, but you better have some points as long as Patrick Mahomes and what the guys at Buffalo are doing, because the AFC now is renowned. There's been a switch, right? Mm-hmm. It used to be the West Coast offenses that put up, 40 points, 30 points. Right. You know what I mean? And you got to play championships to win. Well, you need a good championship, but you better have the offense to match point for point just in case. Let's go into just your journey, serving your mission in the Bay Area, and all of the experiences that you've gathered, going to school at multiple places, going from the Midwest as a Tongan, only Tongan family in the hood, I'm sure, right? In the area, right? Talk about how being kind of secluded and the only, how that has formed a championship perspective that you have now as an executive.
Yeah, no, thank you, Coach. I would say I was very blessed having the experiences that we have. I truly believe God gives us the experiences we need to become our best, the good and the bad, right? No doubt about that. I'm no exception. And the challenges along the way were, we were not, all the Tongans that we knew, we were related to them. And we all, it was just our little circle, right? We could count them on one or two hands. That's how it was growing up. So from that perspective, 2 strong influences, right? The influence of the culture and family, our Tongan roots, and then influence from the Western culture, from school, your teachers. They had a totally different perspective. The challenge was, how do you as an individual take the best from both of those and create who you are and move forward? Because there is good. What I will say, there's good everywhere, and there's good in both. We have so much good that's rooted in our culture, from that, work ethic. I can outwork anybody to this day. I know I shouldn't say that, but I'm getting older, but I'm confident in my ability to hustle, right? And to work. And that came from my dad, because there was no half effort. There was full effort in everything. I'm grateful for that, right? I'm grateful for the opportunities of all the non-Tongans, the leaders I had at church, the school teachers, because they are the ones who help me and teach me how to navigate the Western world, or the white man's world, for all intents and purposes. You have to be good at both, unfortunately. That's just the reality. There's a word for it now. I didn't realize it at the time, but they call it code switching. How do you make sure you can adapt your skill set so that you can be effective in various environments? So I'm grateful for that, because along my journey, through my associations at school, at church especially, where we always attended a non-Tongan, it's common to have Tongan congregations within the LDS faith where there's a large population. That wasn't us. It was always English speaking. And I loved it because I learned a lot. I learned from my dad. I learned from the others, non-Tongans, on how you present yourself, how you communicate effectively to people who may not have the same background as you. So take that, build on that, and then take those lessons learned. I went to the Bay Area and I served my whole mission. For those who aren't familiar, LDS mission is usually 2 years. Served my whole mission in the Tongan congregations or wards that are there in the East Bay, as well as in San Francisco. I just spent all my time, my whole 2 years, and I loved it. That was another formidable part of me, because that was my first opportunity to really spend large amounts of time with our people, with our Tongan people. What I learned, number one, love like no other. You just feel it. And when I felt that, I said, you know what? I want this to be part of my life. I want this to be a big part of my life. And it was influential on the choices I made going forward from there. So all that built upon each other. And then my journey took me back home. I came off my mission. I was on the top of the world. I thought I could do anything. But then life kind of stalls, right? And this happens to a lot of Polynesian men, boys, who return from their mission. I didn't have a real plan. The reality is I did not have a real plan. I should have had a real plan. I didn't. So I kind of worked and I said, I'll go to school at some point. But I knew schooling had to be an important part of my future, but I didn't make it enough of a priority. So I was essentially a non-traditional student over time. Good, but it's good, right? Because as a non-traditional student, I'm working, but I'm also going to school. But nothing is assumed, from my perspective, because the jobs you take, you're not getting the management trainee jobs, because those are saved for those who graduated. You're getting the customer service jobs. You're getting the coordinator jobs, the analyst jobs. So that was me. And all I knew how to do, I said, I got to outwork. I got to demonstrate my value. I got to use the skills that I learned to help me move forward, because I am on a non-traditional path. So had to move, had to work that way. And I don't think my story is unique to just me. I think there's a lot of our brothers and sisters who have to follow that path. And my message to them is, you can do it. Find your purpose, find the gifts that God gave you that you need to share with the world, and you stick to it. You stick to it, however hard the path is, it will come. And easy for me to say years later, right? It's easy for me to say years later where I've found some success. I'm a healthcare, where I want to be to be a healthcare decision maker. But it's tough to see when you're on the journey.
Yes, sir. Wow, such valuable life lessons and insights there in perspective. In that, how did you bridge yourself Because what you're talking about is, any lack of planning or foresight to forecast is just really the transition period, right? It's not having a plan, a strategy, or a design for a transition period. But obviously now as a health executive, a healthcare executive who was recruited out of Kansas and the Missouri area to come to Utah now where you are, what was the value proposition and how did you transition where you could now attract the type of position it is that you have now garnered and have?
Yeah. So I truly believe all of us have this ability within us, right? This ability to lead, this ability to add value. But it takes certain experiences, it takes certain opportunities for you to dig it out and bring it to the forefront and then polish it. So for me, my experiences were, I had to go through, lower level jobs for a number of time. I had to get to a point where I said, okay, you got to figure out what are your gifts and what do you need to be spending your time doing. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to figure that out through my early banking career, and then the transition to a healthcare career, and where the lights went on and said, you know what, you need to spend your time in healthcare, and you need to get the tools that you need so that you can make a difference. And that's when I decided, okay, get serious about finishing undergrad, because nobody's going to take you seriously if you don't, right? It truly is just a piece of paper, right? I'm not to say that everybody should go to college, but it's a demonstration that you can start something and finish something. So, right? So I got serious about finishing the undergrad, and then I said, you need to get more schooling. And I wanted to get schooling at a top MBA program, so that the investment in time would pay off immediately, both with the network as well as the training. So that's how I ended up at Babson, which is a top entrepreneurial program in the country. Great experience. Opened my eyes to different perspectives. Opened my eyes on how to do things differently. And then it's almost like the floodgates open after I finished my undergrad. And I think it was God's way of telling me, go and pay the price, go and do what I need you to do. And then the opportunities will come. I don't know, maybe not, but that's how I felt personally. And after that happened, opportunities came, opportunities to lead, opportunities to start and to be responsible for bigger initiatives, bigger projects, lines of business that eventually led me here to Utah, where I'm running the Medicare for the University of Utah health plans.
Yeah.
I don't take any of it lightly. I know that part of it's me being a good steward of the talents that have been given to me. But part of it is putting in the work, paying the price, and following God's plan that he has for each and every one of us. I think he has one for all of us, right? I know we talked about your story, Coach. No doubt that your graduate assistantship was there for you, right? Was divine intervention, no doubt about that. So that's some of my thoughts. What do you think?
No, I think that's real talk. And in my presentations, I often have the crowd say, repeat after me. And I say quotes and all that. And I say, hey, repeat after me, say #real talk. As you talking about making a decision to really get the accreditation it is that you need, that shows your value proposition, and then being all in. I mean, it's just amazing what we become when we are finally fully committed. Because we
Absolutely.
can half-ass commit and we can still gain value from the marketplace or get a paycheck. But then, when we fully commit, it's just amazing the championship experiences that we're able to have when we design, be fully immersed, fully committed. But the hard part about that is that to be successful, you have to be absolutely committed, not distracted and all in. But that's also the reason why a lot of people get blindsided by neglecting their health. I mean, the challenges, right? Come on, Ben, right? But
You're
talk
right.
about this, because I feel this is a part of a life champion's experiences. Yeah, I always tell people, hey, my why and my purpose, my giftings, my anointings from God are one thing. But my most important choice wasn't where I went to school at UC Davis, that I took on certain job opportunities, ended up at Boise State, started to be a speaker, but my decision in spouse, right?
Yes.
And so no one in my adult career, so I have influences from my parents from, a little bit into college down, that no one was a greater influence up to that time than my parents. But my spouse, let's talk about LaVon, how you guys met and how she has become an integral part of what it is that is the Ben Tonga and the Tonga family story. Please, 1 minute, because we're running out of time, but I want to fit all this in because you got so many insights, please.
Yeah, well, tribute to LaVon. So I think the biggest attribute, I'll start with that. The biggest attribute that attracted me to LaVon is she is extremely talented. She's extremely bright. Checks all those boxes. But number one, she's loyal and she can be trusted. That was big for me, and maybe it's just because maybe I'm a mistrustful person, but there is no doubt in my mind I can trust her. There's no doubt in my mind that whatever's going on, she's going to be right there by my side. And those were intangibles, must-haves for me. And I think that's why we ended up together. Just quickly on our story, it was a long distance relationship. She was going to school at BYU Hawaii, pre-med. So like I said, she's extremely bright. She was on a track to be a MD. She ended up being a PhD instead, because part of it was we got married, right? And life happens and we have kids. But we're introduced by one of my cousins. We meet and virtually, and then this was before all the online dating apps. but when we meet in person, it was real, right? I knew, they just say, but I didn't want to look like a fool, so we didn't get married for about a year, right? I was like, let's not jump into this right away. But no doubt I could trust her, and no doubt she would be loyal, and she has been a big part of my growth. But she's very accomplished in her own right, and she does all of this. We have our children. She graduated with a PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry. All this happening while she's making sure that she's supporting me. So she is a one of a kind. I'm grateful for her, and I'll introduce you so you can chat with her sometime. Her story is far more interesting than mine.
Oh, no, I love it. I would love to have Dr. Tonga on the show. I would love. So final thing, 15 seconds, right? Who chased who? Who chased who?
Oh yeah, that depends on, she chased me, of course, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, I tried to get my wife's number, and she said no. So I left her my number. I chased my wife the whole way through. So shout out to my wife, Martha, man. The number one influence in my success as an adult, no doubt. And we met during college. So shout out to LaVon. Let's go into, okay, what would be your message to the world? A Tongan cat, born and then ending up in Kansas City, Missouri. Six or seven brothers and sisters, remind me.
There's seven total.
7 total. And so you had Hala and Tupo had Tamasita or Tamasita?
Tamasita.
Tamasita, Nadine, Linda, Rose, Suliana,
Yep.
Suliana, and Paul, and you,
Yes.
right? We got this brown Polynesian. They don't know, because when I went to Louisiana, they couldn't tell if I was Puerto Rican or, you know what I mean? You know, in the Midwest going out east, brown folks are looked at differently than in the West, right?
Right.
So you take all of those experiences, having to go back to school while you're working, trying to prove yourself, entry-level jobs. What is your message to the world with the culmination of all those experiences? Please, Ben.
Yeah. Two points I'd say to all those who are out there trying to make it happen. Number one, you can do it. You know what your purpose is. Go and put the work in. That's the second part. Put the work in, and it will happen. I promise you that it will happen. It may not look exactly what you have visualized, but it will happen, and it will look much better than what you visualized. That's my message to those who are out there.
Oh, I love that. Make it happen. Man, a lot of people know what they want, but they fail to deploy the activity, the action, the performance, and the execution to make it come into fruition. Let me say that again. A lot of people know what they want. So the difference between the 3% and the top 10%, and then even the 25% who achieves a dream at a certain level versus the 60% to the 70% that don't. And I know it's not that easy, but it's work. And it's not that simple either, but it's work.
Yeah.
And it's not quitting, right? I love how you say that, Ben. I mean, go make it happen. You got to make some, there is no reaction if there is no initial action, right? I
Amen.
love that. I love that. In that, let's do some shout outs, please.
Yeah. You know, we talked to the family. Shout out to you, Coach. Thank you for all the good work that you do. Shout out to all the folks here in the Tongan community, the Polynesian community in Salt Lake. They're trying to make a difference on the grassroots folks. We have a lot of folks working in social services, working in the nonprofit sector, just trying to make a difference and give service to our community. Shout out to all of them. Shout out to all my cousins here in Utah, my relatives, all my cousins over in California too, the Bay Area. Love you guys, and great to have this opportunity to chat, Coach.
No, thank you. What can the audience expect? What's a current project that you're working on that we need to be looking forward to? Is there one?
Yeah, there's two. I'd mention two. Number one, as you mentioned, my passion is affordable care for everyone. So number one, you drive around Salt Lake, you'll see our billboards, and our tagline is by Utahns for Utahns, and that's really, so I want to make sure our seniors are taken care of, right? That our senior population has good solutions for healthcare. Second project, I believe the answer to making sure we can improve the overall health outcomes for our people and the nation as a whole is better access to primary care and better access to preventive care. So me and a handful of folks, we are working on some projects related to making it extremely affordable or zero cost for primary care and preventive care. And that includes basic level mental health care too. I think that one's the piece that's left out. So more to come, but we're working on several initiatives. One's called FIA Care. Shout out to Stephen Fabiano Unga, my good friend and partner in crime on that one. And shout out to the folks at the Utah Health Policy Project. They're doing good work trying to make a difference there.
That's awesome. And how can people get a hold of you? So somebody sees the show, how do they reach out to you to connect? So for those of you that know me and are in my network, or you don't know me and we're connected on social media, just shoot me a message if you can't get a hold of Brother Ben, and I will make sure that you guys connect. But how can people get a hold of you directly, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. LinkedIn, I've got a presence on LinkedIn. I'm not a big social media, but connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Facebook, Benjamin Tonga. And you know, based off of what Coach V shared in the introduction, you can tell it's me. Yeah, I would love to help anybody who has interest in either growing their career or just in general. Please reach out. I would love to connect with the audience and folks who are interested in connecting.
Okay, we have 30 seconds, 2 questions. Kansas City, Missouri. I fly into Kansas City. Where's the top spot I need to go eat? 30 seconds.
Ooh, Q39. That's the blend of old and new for barbecue.
Okay, I roll in the Salt Lake City and I head south on the 15 towards Alpine and Provo, right? Okay,
Yes.
so where do I go? Where do I go in Alpine for some grub? Where?
Oh my goodness. There's nothing here in Alpine. But the closest, a lot of chains out here. Ooh, my favorite chain, I'll say that JCW's is the burger spot that's pretty good over here in this area.
JCW's. Okay, and then a hot seat question is, I'm gonna say a phrase or a Coach V quote. You just tell me what comes top of mind. Okay, here's the Coach V quote. There's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationships. Your response?
Yeah, relationships are what matter. Relationships last. Transactions come and go.
I love that. I love that. And you have the final word on our call, and then I will close us out here on the Coach V Show, Brother Ben. Your final words.
And to everybody out there in the grind trying to make it happen, keep it going. As Coach V said, it's work. It's different kinds of work. Put the work in, and that's an overarching statement, but the work may be doing something uncomfortable, trying something new, doing things that your family may or may not agree with. That is all the work that's required. Doing things that your friends may not agree with, or that your family's like, what are you doing? That is the work that's required to find the success that you want. And I promise you, you will find it.
Oh, I love that. That reminds me of, you're going to go be a motivational what? When I was leaving college football and I was getting offers still, and I still get offers to go to college football, but this is really, I feel, where God has anointed me to be in a place that can really bring the work-life balance, that I could be off by 2 p.m. and coaching one of my kids' sports teams in a sport I don't even know how to play, but hey, that's the life it is that I choose, Brother Ben. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and seeing this feature. I hope you took notes. You can find the recording of this on YouTube. You can find the podcast on Spotify. And then you could just go to my Facebook page. There's a broadcast recording on there should you have missed this, or you want to go back and take some more notes in this 35-minute segment. And for Brother Ben and I, it's just not for the sake of just the success, right? Because if you can't translate success into joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, love, and family time, we have missed on our opportunity to impact how it is that you think, how you feel, what you do, performance, perspective, action, execution, or perspective or effective communication. We're just trying to help impact that. But why? For the sake that you be your best. Because in doing so, you realize the best of your abilities, and that everything and anything that you dream, work, and pray for can be achieved. This is how your boy, Brother Ben, and your boy, Coach V, lives, all about faith and family. Grateful for God's amazing grace. Until next Motivation Monday, shout out to the Island City Media Group team for allowing me to have a show on here every single week, producing and creating such amazing content with me. Until then, we'll see you next time. One love and respect from your boy Ben and Coach V. Ofatu. Peace.